Hi everyone, and welcome to this presentation of the MIDI dispatch effects for the Romagnetics Midynamite. So before I talk about the setup I have here, let me explain to you what MIDI dispatch is. So if you have multiple monosynth or synth with a limited polyphony, MIDI dispatch allows you to play multiple synth with one signal. So if I play a triad, for example, I can play 3 synth at the same time. So before we make a deep dive into what the effect does, let me talk to you a little bit about the setup here. So I have a Roland Boutique here, but it only serves as a MIDI keyboard, so you can use any MIDI keyboard you want. You can also use a file on your computer that will send the MIDI to the Midynamite, and which will then send it back to the DAW. That's also a possibility. And it is connected via MIDI in, and unfortunately I do not own multiple Moog or Moog, so we'll have to connect it to the computer. And this is a reminder, even though I usually use the Midynamite for DAW-less setups, it can also be used with a computer. So here you can see there's a USB connection, and it is connected via USB to Cubase. And you see it's recognized as Romagnetics Midynamite. Here I'm using Cubase, but of course you can use any DAW you want. And in that particular case, I have it connected to 4 different instances of a Moog. It plays a preset called filtered bass. So let me turn off MIDI dispatch, and what happens if I play something. If I play a chord, I play 3 notes, and it will only play 1 note because it will mute itself. Now, the old solution for that is to use an arpeggiator. For example, here we can play, I have heavy swing on, but if we don't have any swing, we can play an arpeggiator. But if we want to play multiple notes at the same time, let me turn off the arpeggiator, we can use MIDI dispatch. So let us dive into the different setups. We have synth. So for example, here we have 3 synth. You can have up to 16 synth. So every channel will be sent to from channel 1 to channel 16. But let's pick a more reasonable 3 synth, and then we can start from any channel from 1 to 14. If it's 14, it's going to be 14, 15, 16, but you can choose anything. So if you have other synth on channel 1, for example, you can start from channel 2, etc. So me, in my particular case, I don't use anything else in that setup. So I'm starting with channel 1, and with 3, I can play 3 notes. And if I want to go here, I have 4, I can do 4. But of course, we can go up to 16. Now, notes per synth, here it's 1 because it's a monophonic synth. I'm assuming most of the time people will use it that way, but you can also use 2 notes, 3 notes, up to 6 notes. So for example, if you own 2 Deepmind 6s, you can make it into a Deepmind 12 this way. Let's go back to 1 note per synth, monophonic. So the last effect called voice delete might be the most interesting of them all, because it allows you to choose which voices are being muted. So here we have 3 synth, meaning that if I play a 4-chord note, one of the notes will have to be deleted. So the default for that of voice delete is first, meaning that here if I play F, A, C, and E, the first note that I played will be deleted. This is the default, but you can also have last. This is especially interesting if you have your keyboard split. If you want more info about MIDI split, you can check the video I made about it in the description. It's really handy to not have any notes played other than the ones you've already pressed. So here in that case, last, there are already 3 slots that are being used, and so I cannot play the 4th one. In order to play a 4th note, I have to release it, and then I can occupy that note. And again, I cannot play the first one. Velocity is also really interesting. So it will delete the note with the lowest velocity. So let me play a triad. If I play really quietly, it will not replace it. But if I make it louder, then it will replace the note. Once again, that can be really interesting, especially in conjunction with MIDI modify. If you have a modifier for the velocity, that can be really interesting together. And the last one is random, because everybody loves random. This is one thing that I really love about the Midynamite. It has so many effects and so many ways to use it that people create new things. So I try to introduce randomness as much as I can, because I know some of you guys like it. Now, the most interesting thing you can do with any effect on the Midynamite is to combine it with other effects together. So MIDI dispatch is at the very end of the effects chain, is right before the out. So you can have a lot of fun. For example, if you have MIDI dispatch on, you can use, of course, all your effects normally. But if we go to a polyphony of 2 synths, and we have MIDI transpose, for example, up by 7 semitone, here it's up a fifth, you can play 2 different synths with different heights. So MIDI dispatch will make it so that one synth will receive the first note, so the bass note, and the second synth will receive the modified note. So you can layer your different synth not only with the same note, which MIDI modify can do on its own, but you can also do it with multiple notes. And this is just using MIDI transpose alone. If you add the arpeggiator, if you had MIDI modify and modify split, there are a lot of different things you can do. Another use that you can have of the MIDI dispatch is having it together with MIDI modify. So MIDI modify will duplicate a note. If you go to change velocity 0 and have, for example, here channel 1 and channel 2, each note will now become 2 notes. And since MIDI dispatch reroutes all the notes that are being sent, if you have the same note on channel 1 and channel 2, it will send it to 2 synths at the same time. So you can fine tune, for example, the 2 synth and have a thicker bass line or a thicker lead if you want. So please put in the comment how you use your MIDI dispatch, and I'll see you in the next video.